Welcome to Backbone Unlimited. My name is Matt Hartsky. In this episode, we're talking about the single most important factor that decides whether you fill your tag or go home early, and that's mental toughness. Here's the truth most hunters don't want to admit. It's not the gear, it's not the perfect spot, and it's not even always your physical conditioning that makes or breaks a tough Western hunt. It's your mind. I've seen guys who were in great shape quit because they couldn't handle the grind. I've seen hunters with the latest gear pack it in after a week because the mountain wore them down. And I've seen average hunters, not the strongest or fastest, succeed because they refused to quit. Western hunting, elk, mule deer, backcountry trips. It's a mental war. Long days, no elk sightings, brutal weather, steep climbs, and missed shots all pile up. And at some point, every single one of us hears that voice, "You're done. Go home. Quit." But the hunters who push past that voice are the hunters who win. And the good news is mental toughness isn't just something you're born with. It's something you can train, strengthen, and carry with you into the mountains. In this episode, I'm going to break down exactly how to push through mentally on tough Western hunts. We'll talk about why the mind matters more than the body, the walls you'll face, how to train grit before you leave home, how to stay sharp on the mountain, and the mistakes that break hunters mentally. By the end, you'll have a system to build and maintain the kind of grit that gets hunts finished, even when everything in you wants to quit. This is your guide to mastering the mental game of Western hunting. When most hunters prepare for a Western hunt, they hit the gym, run miles, buy the latest gear, and that's good. Fitness and equipment matter. But here's the reality. Your body will almost always have more left in the tank than your mind tells you it does. Western hunting is designed to test you. Long days, high altitude, rough terrain, and endless miles will wear you down. But most hunters don't quit because their legs gave out. They quit because their mind did. The pack feels heavy. The climb feels endless. The weather feels unbearable. It's not that they can't go on. It's that they've convinced themselves they're done. There's an old saying in endurance sports, when your mind tells you you're finished, you're really only about 40% done. The same applies in hunting. Your body is capable of far more than your brain wants to believe in the moment. The difference between hunters who succeed and those who quit is simply the decision to keep moving when it hurts. Strong bodies without strong minds burn out when things get tough. Average hunters with grit outlast and outwork hunters who are more skilled. Gear and skill mean nothing if you mentally check out before you use them. I've seen hunters with $10,000 worth of gear and world-class fitness pack it in halfway through a hunt, while a stubborn grinder with a used rifle and an old pack stuck it out and killed a bull. I still remember one hunt in Colorado. I was soaked, freezing, and hadn't seen elk in 4 days. My legs ached and my head was telling me, what's the point? Go home. But instead of quitting, I gave myself one more morning. That morning, I heard a bugle. By noon, I was packing out meat. If I'd listened to my mind the day before, I'd have gone home empty-handed. Your body is your engine, but your mind is your driver. If your driver quits, the hunt is over, no matter how much gas is left in the tank. That's why mental toughness isn't optional on Western hunts. It's the difference between another tag soup story and a filled freezer. On every tough Western hunt, you're going to hit walls. These aren't just physical barriers like steep climbs or heavy packouts. They're mental walls, and if you don't understand them, they'll stop you in your tracks. Every hunter hears that little voice eventually. It says, "You're too tired. This pack is too heavy. There are no elk here. Just head home." That voice isn't weakness. It's your brain trying to protect you from discomfort. The problem is, if you listen to it, you'll quit long before you actually need to. You'll face the fatigue wall when your body aches and your mind tells you you're done. You'll face the pain wall when blisters, sore shoulders, or altitude headaches make you want to quit. You'll face the weather wall when cold rain, snow, or relentless heat makes the mountain feel unbearable. You'll face the loneliness wall when the silence and isolation of solo hunting weighs heavy. And you'll face the failure wall when a blown stalk, a missed shot, or several elkless days crush your motivation. Each of these walls feels different, but they all whisper the same lie. It's not worth it. Quit. When you know the walls are coming, they stop being surprises. Instead of panicking or thinking something's wrong, you recognize this is just the fatigue wall. Push through it. Awareness turns a wall into a hurdle, something you step over instead of something that stops you. I'll never forget one September archery hunt in the Rockies. A storm rolled in, dumped sleet and freezing rain for 12 straight hours. I was soaked, miserable, and convinced I should pack it up. But I forced myself to wait it out in the tent. The next morning, I woke up to clear skies and bugling bulls fired up everywhere. That storm was my weather wall. If I'd listened to the voice of quitting, I would have driven home the day before the hunt actually turned on. Mental walls aren't a sign of weakness. They're part of the process. Every hunter hits them. The difference is whether you let them stop you or whether you recognize them, label them, and push past them. On a tough Western hunt, success often comes, right after you break through a wall. Most hunters think mental grit only gets tested on the mountain. The truth is, you can and should train your mind long before the hunt ever begins. Just like your body, your mental toughness grows when you deliberately put it under stress. Comfort is the enemy of grit. If you want to be tougher in the backcountry, start practicing discomfort now. Hike with a heavy pack in bad weather. Train early in the morning when it's inconvenient. Load more weight than feels comfortable. Every time you choose the harder path, you're building the ability to say, I don't quit when it matters. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real experience and one vividly imagined. So you've got to visualize climbing steep ridges under load. Imagine days not seeing elk and yourself staying committed. Picture missing a shot, regrouping, and hunting harder. When those moments come together, your brain will already know how to handle them. Life itself is training if you use it that way. Long workdays teach you how to focus when tired. Frustrating situations teach patience and problem solving. Hard workouts train you to finish strong instead of quitting early. You're teaching yourself the habit of persistence. Cold exposure, fasting, or training without music all build discipline and discomfort. It's not about the activity itself. It's about teaching your brain, I don't stop when it gets hard. One year, I trained almost exclusively every chance that the weather was crappy, whether that was rain, heat, wrong time of the day. The wind in Wyoming here can be terrible, and so you can take advantage of those. Every time it poured, I threw on a weighted pack and went hiking. Every time the wind was blowing strong, I went for a run. By the time hunting season came, bad weather didn't rattle me. While other hunters stayed in camp when it stormed, I pushed on, and I was in elk when the skies cleared. That wasn't luck. That was mental conditioning for the weather. If you wait until the mountain tests your grit, you'll be unprepared. But if you deliberately train discomfort, visualization, and persistence at home, the mental walls in the backcountry won't shock you. You'll already know how to handle them because you practiced it. You've trained, you've packed, and you've planned. But once you're in the mountains, everything shifts. The altitude, the endless miles, the slow days without animals. This is where the real mental game begins. The right mindset keeps you in the hunt when conditions are at their worst. One of the biggest mistakes hunters make is thinking too far ahead. They look at the whole mountain, the entire pack-out, or the days left in the season and it feels overwhelming. Instead, break your hunt into small, winnable chunks. Tell yourself, I'm just going to reach that ridge. I'm just going to glass for one more hour. I'll hunt hard until lunch, then reassess. Small wins add up to big successes. Western hunting is mountains of obstacles. If you look at them all at once, you'll talk yourself out of trying. Instead, Instead, adopt the mindset of one ridge at a time. Every ridge you climb and every drainage you glass brings you closer to an encounter. The only way to guarantee failure is to stop. Bad days happen. You might hike 10 miles and not hear a bugle. You might blow a stock. You might sit in a storm all day without seeing a thing. If you carry that frustration into the next day, it eats away at your drive. Instead, try to reset each morning with a fresh mindset, fresh effort, and fresh opportunity. You got to tell yourself today could be the day, because it can, and it often is. Western hunts aren't just about the kill. They're about the experience, the wild country, the encounters, and the grind itself. If you focus on punching a tag, the lows will crush you. If you learn to appreciate the process, the grind becomes part of the reward. On one hunt, I was beat down after days of nothing. I told myself I'd glass one more drainage before heading back. And that's when I spotted a bull pushing cows out of the timber. If I'd let frustration win, I would have turned back before I ever saw him. That mindset, one more try, has killed more elk for me than any piece of gear I own. The mountain will test you every day. If you let yourself get overwhelmed, frustrated, or beaten down, you'll quit. But if you stay present, break the hunt into chunks, and reset daily, you'll always be in position for success. Because in Western hunting, the difference between going home empty and packing meat often comes down to one more ridge, one more glassing session, one more chance, and the mindset to take it. Failure is part of Western hunting. Blown stocks, missed shots, and long elkless days are not exceptions. They are guarantees. The hunters who last are not always the ones who avoid failure, but the ones who know how to handle it. You will blow stocks. You will spook elk. You will miss shots or watch elk disappear onto private land or spend 3 days without hearing a single bugle. These are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are actually hunting. It's not called killing. Most hunters let failure crush their motivation, but the truth is, the failure is feedback. A blown stock teaches you about wind and approach. A missed shot exposes weaknesses in your shooting routine. Empty days teach you about elk movement and pressure. Instead of asking, why me? Start asking, what did I learn? The best hunters are not flawless. They are relentless. They miss. They blow opportunities. And then they reset and hunt harder. The ability to bounce back quickly is what separates a weekend of frustration from a breakthrough moment. After a major setback, your confidence can take a hit. This is where small wins matter. Reset your focus. Get to a new glassing point. Cover a new ridge. Call in a cow or a spike just to prove the process works. Those small wins rebuild momentum and keep your head in the game. I can remember one September when I missed a bull at 35 yards, broadside, wide open. It crushed me. I sat there replaying the shot in my head until I almost packed it in. But instead, I eventually told myself, you got to get up and hunt the next ridge. 2 days later, I arrowed a different bull. That would not have happened if I had let that miss end my hunt. Failure is not the end unless you make it the end. Every setback is either a reason to quit or a lesson to carry forward. The hunters who push through failure are the ones who stay in the fight long enough to succeed. Success in Western hunting is not built on perfection. It is built on persistence. Every hunter starts a Western hunt motivated. The pack feels light. The air feels crisp, and the bugles fuel your fire. But after a week of steep climbs, sore feet, rough sleep, and empty glassing sessions, motivation fades. The question is, how do you keep going when the excitement is gone? Motivation that comes from your reason for being out there. That's the motivation that lasts. Is it to provide meat for your family, to test yourself against the mountain, to carry on a tradition? When your legs are burning and your lungs are screaming, that why becomes the anchor that keeps you moving. Without it, excuses win. With it, you'll find another gear. Excitement is fragile. It disappears in the rain, in the cold, and in the 10th mile of the day. Purpose does not fade. Purpose says, I am here because this matters to me. This hunt is bigger than my comfort. My family, my pride, my growth depend on me pushing forward. And when excitement dies, purpose takes over. Motivation does not always come before action. Often it comes after. Start hiking and motivation returns. Start glassing and the hope of spotting elk sparks energy. Start calling and suddenly you're back in the game. The elk themselves are the best motivator. Every bugle, every fresh track, and every close encounter fuels you. Even when you're exhausted, you got to remind yourself the next ridge could hold elk. That possibility is enough to keep the fire alive. One September, I spent 6 days without seeing a single elk, not one. My motivation was shot, but I reminded myself of my why, to prove I could last the grind, to hunt because my oldest son no longer could. I kept hiking, kept glassing, kept calling. On day 7, I finally heard bugles. By day 8, I was packing meat. If I had let motivation die with the empty days, I would have let elk on the mountain. Motivation is not magic. It does not stick around unless you feed it. Purpose, small actions, and the constant reminder that success could happen on the next ridge, that's how you stay motivated when the mountain tries to break you. In Western hunting, the hunters who last are not the ones who always feel excited. They're the ones who push forward even when they don't. Mental grit does not just happen. You can arm yourself with tools and habits that make it easier to reset, refocus, and keep going when the mountain gets heavy. These tactics don't replace toughness, they reinforce it. When your heart is pounding on a steep climb or your nerves are shot after a blown stalk, breathing brings you back. Box breathing works by inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding for 4 again. Another method is long exhale breathing. You inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 8. These patterns can calm your nervous system, clear your head, and help you keep control when stress peaks. I may have lost some of you there who are thinking this is hokey, but a lot of times that breathing can get you through tough situations. Words matter in the backcountry. The right mantra can keep your head in the fight when the voice of quitting gets loud. You got to say to yourself, one more ridge. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Comfort doesn't kill elk. Pick one and repeat it when things get hard. It sounds simple and corny, but it works. Every night, write down what went right, what went wrong, and what tomorrow's plan is. It keeps your mind clear and forward-looking instead of spiraling into negativity thinking about what went wrong. When frustration builds, create a simple reset ritual. Sit down and breathe for a few minutes. Rehydrate, eat something, reframe the situation. Okay, that stalk failed. What's next? Resets keep the bad moments from ruining entire hunts. The mind and the body are connected. Physical discipline, it reinforces mental toughness. Stretching at camp loosens tight muscles and reduces fatigue. Staying fed and hydrated prevents low blood sugar and dehydration, which wreck your mental state. Sleep helps reset both your body and your mind. Mental resilience is not about never breaking down. It is about knowing how to reset and rebuild when you do. With tools like breathing, your word mantras, your journaling, your physical resets, you will have systems that keep you in the hunt even when the mountain does its best to push you out. In Western hunting, the hunters who win are not the ones who never stumble. They're the ones who know how to get back up. Mental toughness can carry you through storms, steep climbs, and empty days. But if you walk into a Western hunt with the wrong expectations or approach without the training, you'll sabotage yourself before the mountain even has a chance to. Too many hunters step into the backcountry expecting a bugle behind every ridge and elk in every basin. When the reality doesn't match, disappointment sets in, and it sets in fast. The fix is simple. Go in knowing it will be hard, long, and often lonely. Anything better than that is a bonus. Some hunters go out there for validation instead of purpose. They hunt just to post pictures, prove themselves to buddies, or chase someone else's idea of success. When that is the motivation, the lows will crush you. Anchor your hunt to a deeper purpose, providing meat for your family, testing yourself against the mountain, or proving your grit. That purpose keeps you steady when things get tough. Nothing kills mental grit like poor preparation. Blisters from new boots, a body that wasn't trained, gear that can't handle the weather, all add unnecessary stress that eats away at your mind. Train hard, break in your gear, and prepare for storms before you ever leave home. Rigidity is another killer. Some hunters lock themselves into one plan, one spot, or one tactic. When it doesn't work, they crumble mentally because they don't know what else to do. Always have backup plans, new drainages, alternate tactics, or lower elevation options. Flexibility keeps you in the fight. Every hunt has brutal lows, days without elk, missed shots, or storms that pin you down are all part of it. Hunters who confuse a low with the end of the hunt often give up right before conditions turn their way. Expect the lows and remind yourself they're temporary. The hunt can flip in minutes. Early in my hunting journey, I wanted to tag out fast so I could show proof back home. When I didn't see elk for days, I felt like a failure, like I wasn't good enough. That mindset almost made me quit. But once I shifted focus to the experience, the growth, and the process of grinding, I found joy in the hunt itself, and ironically, that's when success started coming. The mountain is already hard. Don't make it harder by carrying unrealistic expectations, poor preparation, or a shallow why. If you avoid these mental traps, you'll free your grit to focus where it belongs, on pushing forward one ridge at a time. In Western hunting, the hunters who survive mentally aren't the ones with perfect plans. They're the ones who are flexible, prepared, and anchored to purpose. Mental toughness isn't luck, and it isn't something you either have or don't. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained, strengthened, and applied. You can start by training discomfort at home. Hike in bad weather, train with a weighted pack until it's second nature. Finish workouts even when you feel like quitting. Every rep of discomfort teaches your mind, I can push further than I think. Build mental rehearsal habits. Visualize tough scenarios, storms, fatigue, missed shots. Picture yourself pushing through them successfully. Rehearse resets like breathing, word mantras, and bouncing back. When you meet those walls in real life, you'll already know how to respond. Anchor yourself to a strong why. Write it down. Say it out loud. Remind yourself daily. Maybe your why is providing meat. Maybe it's proving something to yourself. Maybe it's carrying on a tradition. Whatever it is, when the voice of quitting shows up, your why will speak louder. Master your daily reset routines. Start every hunt morning fresh. No matter how yesterday went, write down what worked and what's next. Treat each day like the first, full of possibility. Hunt with flexibility. Always have plan A, plan B, and plan C. Adjust when elk don't cooperate. Stay fluid because stubbornness is a mental drain. Use tools in the field. Lean on breathing routines to calm stress. Use mantras to cut off negative thinking. Keep yourself fueled with snacks, water, and rest to support your mind. And finally, redefine success. Success isn't just a filled tag, it's enduring the hunt, learning, and growing. Every mile you hike and every day you last in the mountains builds grit you'll carry for life. If you've listened this far, you already know that Western hunting is as much a mental game as it is physical. The hunters who push through mentally are the hunters who last. That's exactly why I created Team Backbone. Inside, you'll find mindset training systems designed for Western hunts, accountability, and community with other hunters who push each other harder, direct coaching access when you've got questions on gear, training, or the mental game, and exclusive perks and giveaways to keep you sharp and prepared. If you want to build the grit that separates quitters from killers, join us at backboneunlimited.com. Check out the membership tab and become a part of Team Backbone. Thanks for tuning in to this full guide on mental toughness for Western hunts. Remember, the mountains will test you. They'll throw storms, fatigue, and failure at you, but grit wins. And grit is something you can build. Until next time, train harder, hunt smarter, and never settle.